Okay, recording. So, good afternoon and welcome everybody to this short video. And I have the pleasure of being with John Foster this afternoon from Foster Financial. And we're just going to be talking about, obviously, how the current pandemic and lockdown is affecting local businesses. So, I'm really appreciative of John for taking the time out this afternoon to come on board and have a chat with us. So, thank you, John.
You're very welcome. Hello, everyone.
So, John, first of all, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and what Foster Financial is all about.
Of course. So, yeah, as Sam said, I'm John. I'm Managing Director of Foster's Financial, which is a small independent brokerage based in Suffolk and Essex, serving clients across East Anglia.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, John. And we are actually business neighbours, aren't we? So we
are indeed.
We share the same postcode. So
yeah, 2 doors apart.
We are.
3.
Your journey, John, throughout COVID-19, would you mind just sharing sort of how that's affected you, or what's happened since just before lockdown and the 3 weeks that we've been in lockdown?
Yeah, of course. Quite a rapid effect on us in that it's pretty much been business as normal this year. We've had 3 really good quarters, and March, whilst ended quite strange, was a really, really good month. January was really good. We beat the record in February and March again. So we had a really good start to the year, which is sort of frustration given the situation we find ourselves in now. But in terms of the effect, it was sort of going absolutely fine in March, and then sort of the anticipation of the impending lockdown came more and more prevalent really as we went through. I actually made the decision to close the office and send everyone home the day that Boris Johnson said that there was a lockdown. So I think I timed it quite well. Because I think some other businesses rushed to do that after the announcement, whereas we'd already decided that day. And you know, closing the doors and turning the lights off on that Monday was not a pleasant experience. And having built a business for just over 4 years and numerous members of staff spread all over the place to sort of close the doors and turn the lights off for a period of time and have everyone working from home, has certainly meant we've had to change the dynamic for sure.
It's not natural, is it? That, you know, I remember you posting that video of you turning the lights out, and you know, it's a huge fear of going into that darkness, if you like, of business and just how dark it's going to be. And I think, you know, for me, this is why it was really important to have different people sort of come on this channel and talk about their business, because some aren't going to be affected. Some people, I mean, I'm quite fortunate, I can business as usual, it's just a different way of doing it. Others are absolutely thriving in this, but others, like yourself in the financial industry, it's not easy, is it? It's not easy at all right
now. No, I mean, it's not easy, but, you know, in times like this, you see the true colours of the team that you've got. And I'm a great believer that in whatever circumstance you're in, if you want to do business, you'll do business. You know, we've got some fantastic team members right now that are, you know, finding clients to help and liaising with clients that they've got. So, yeah, it's not pleasant, but, you know, we're certainly not closed and not reopening. We're just sort of pressing the pause button, I suppose, is the best way of describing it, and limping through this period until, you know, we do return to whatever the norm is at that point.
It's great to hear that you're so positive throughout this as well, because obviously your team will be looking for you as their leader. You can't afford to be doom and gloom, can you? You've got to remain positive for them.
No, I can't. Which I won't lie. I've had some bad moments over the last couple of weeks, and had to sort of pick myself up and get on with it. And you know, the whole experience of closing offices temporarily and furloughing people, etc., isn't a pleasant one, but we will be back, and that's what we've got to focus on and make sure we're ready for when we are back.
Sure. But how have you had to adapt your business then to cope with this pandemic?
Well, the obvious thing is we've had to work from home. I think everyone's going through that same thing. I count ourselves very fortunate, really, because we're all on laptops anyway.
Right.
So, because we go and do client meetings at their homes or places of work or whatever, so we're all laptop-based predominantly. So that makes life easier than if we were to have desktop computers or anything like that. So we can just pick it up. So that's the first thing. We were nearly ready to move over to the Microsoft Teams product, which I'm sure many of you will be familiar with. So we moved that forward a good number of weeks, which has been absolutely brilliant, really. And it's meant that we can do multi-people meetings at certain times via video. And obviously you've got Zoom if you've got more people that you need on a call as well. So from an adaptation point of view, we're obviously a relatively simple business from that side of things. So laptops we already had. Our phone system was already internet-based, so it's just about making those work on the laptops. And then just a system to communicate. So as simple as that, really. The main change is that it looks like the office has been burgled and all the equipment's gone because everyone's taken monitors off the desk arms and all that sort of thing. So the office looks a little bit of a sorry sight at the moment with everyone's monitors, second screens and whatever at home.
Sure. So you mentioned having to furlough some staff. How easy was that to decide, and how did you come to that decision?
Yeah, not easy at all is the answer to that one. I came to that decision with the help of my management team. The three of us went through and looked at it and looked at, where was the business coming from for the next number of weeks. And we've used May to June as our assessment of when we think things may be back to normal, in inverted commas. And looked at what we need to limp through that and still bring enough business in to keep the lights on when we're back and whatever else. So no, it wasn't easy. I like to feel like we're a bit of a family at Foster's, so it's never easy having to have that conversation with those people that that helped you grow a business for the last 4 and a bit years. But I think everyone was uniformed in that we were doing this to make sure that we've got something to come back to whenever that is. And the team were, whilst everyone wasn't the most pleased with the situation we find ourselves in, they were all very accommodating with understanding what needed to be done to make sure we were here to thrive in the future months to come.
What a lovely way to describe it. We are a family at Foster's. I mean, that's a lovely description, really lovely.
Well, we try to be. Try our best.
So what's been your secret then for keeping your team engaged and motivated whilst they've been on this lockdown period for 3 weeks? And is that becoming more challenging as time goes on?
The method for coping, if you like, is if you need to call someone, video call them. Don't pick up the phone. Video call them via Teams or via Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever. Try not to just phone people. Video call them so you can still see each other's faces and sort of feels like we are together still. So that's number one. Number two is we do a group call with the entire business on once a week, where we have a bit of fun and do a little quiz. And just have a bit of a laugh and a joke. Normally that's on a Friday, but it's Easter Friday tomorrow, Good Friday, so it'll be today. So they're the main things, and just trying to do all the little things that we would normally do, like Easter eggs this time of year, so they've been delivered this week. We do smaller team calls. But I think, this, in terms of seeing someone and being like you're in the same office or the same environment is the secret, or one of the secrets, really. And trying to keep that normality, because we've got some people in the team that don't live with anyone, so they are literally not communicating with anyone if that wasn't the case. So their well-being is really important. And I've also actively encouraged all of them to do as much exercise as possible, and some of them do the Joe Wicks thing at 9 o'clock, which I know is a phenomenon out there at the moment. So some people do that, and we've got quite a few runners in the business as well, so they get out and do that.
One of those runners being yourself, obviously, who was due to be running the London Marathon in just a matter of days.
I was 3 weeks' time. Fortunately, that's now not the case, or unfortunately, as the case may be. But I'll be running it again on the 4th of October.
Good for you.
Or again, I say, instead.
So, what have you learned about yourself, John, in the last 3 weeks? So, as a business owner, what have you really thought, I didn't realise that about myself?
So in terms of myself, I think the biggest thing I've probably learned is that I thrive off the environment that I put myself in. And what I mean by that is being involved within the team camaraderie and the office and the laughs that go along with that, but also the togetherness and the team effort to do something and achieve something. I know that is a massive part of what I do on a day-to-day basis, and some trying to do that yourself at your dining room table or your spare bedroom or whatever it is, or is an awful lot more difficult than it is when you've got 6 or 7 people around you in an office. So that's probably the biggest thing I've learned about myself. In terms of what I've learned about the business, I would say the biggest thing I've learned about the business is we've got quite a lot of nice to haves in the business.
Right.
And quite a lot of fat that if we really needed to, we could trim back on. Things that we pay for, and when I really did the disaster planning and what do we actually need, deadline to breadline to get through this, as we would do with all of our clients in a mortgage application, but excuse me, don't tend to do it that much with the business accounts. Sort of a busman's holiday, I suppose, so I'll leave it alone. But there's an awful lot of fat there that we can get rid of quite quickly, which we've learned massive amount from.
Yeah, I think we're all quite guilty of that, to be honest. It's an exercise that we know we should do probably once a year at the minimum, but yeah, I can't remember the last time I did that, to be fair. Do you think that, you said that you've run this Foster's Financial for 4.5 years, is this the biggest challenge you've had in business so far?
I think this is the biggest challenge I've had in business so far. I'd also say it's the biggest challenge I faced in my career, because the last big thing, which everyone keeps talking about, was sort of 2008. And I wasn't in this arena at that point, so I'm having to gain experience from a lot of my colleagues within the business who were here and saying, what happened then? What do we do? How do we come through it? And what did you learn from that I can take on board this time around? If it's this time around, don't think we're anywhere near like we were then. But
yeah, I think lots of people are making that comparison. But the biggest positive that I can take from that is, we are still here. And, before this, business was booming for lots of people and the economy was quite buoyant. So, we, as everybody keeps saying, we will get through this. Our environment might be slightly different, but it will happen. We will get through this, and we can always make more money.
Yeah, and as I say to lots of my clients, and I have conversations with my clients about this as well, that there is considerably more money sloshing about now than there was in 2007, 2008. Yeah. We're in a very different place to what we were then. I don't think we're at that point yet. If this goes on for 6 to 9 months and we're all still on Zoom in that point, working from our dining room tables, it might be a different answer, but hopefully this is a short to medium term solution.
Yeah, I completely agree. So what then do you think you will change, John, moving forward? So like looking ahead, when life returns back to normal, and it will, as we've just said, and you go back in your office and turn those lights back on, what do you think you will change because of what you've experienced in this pandemic?
So definitely some of the systems we've implemented, we're going to keep. Things like Microsoft Teams that we now use, absolutely going to keep. I think that my team is quite unanimous in the fact that we didn't do home working from before, and whilst we didn't do it, everyone sort of thought that they quite liked the idea of it. I think they're quite unanimous now in that they don't want to do that, and they like coming in and interacting with people and whatever. So I don't think that we're going to turn to a home working business. I think there's definitely an argument for more of a hot desking environment than what we've got currently. And I definitely see that as you know, a positive out of this, in that we can be a lot leaner with the space that we've got. You know, the main thing that I think this is going to do is when we come out the other side of this, is people are just going to appreciate that a little bit more of, you know, remember 4 weeks ago when we thought the world was going to end and we all came together. And you know, from my point of view, certain members of my team have, you know, really shown their true colours, and I've been, you know, really humbled by the way that they've reacted to it. You know, that they're the things that I'm going to remember the other side of you know, who was really good about it, and who had, you know, had the best interests of the business at heart.
Yeah, who had your back, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got one last question, John, if you mind, just putting you on the spot now. But if you had sort of one tip, if you like, that you think that you have relied on to get you through this, what would it be? What would you say to others in business?
Can I have 2 tips?
Yes, you can.
So number 1 is exercise. Keeping your mind healthy as well as yourself, that's massively important. I run, as you've already mentioned, so being able to get out and just reflect and have some peace and quiet for 10 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, invaluable. Number 2 is don't react instantly. We're making some really big decisions at the moment. Take some time to just make sure it's the right thing.
Great, that's really solid advice there. And if I could throw anything in from what you've been saying as well, it would be communication. Because from what you've said about, you know, the benefits you've seen of remote working and how well it's been for you so far, is because of the communication tools that you've put in, like Teams and your virtual pub quizzes and that sort of thing, keeping everybody engaged and, you know, still on board with Foster's Financial and your vision.
Absolutely, yeah. Communication is key, and getting as much of it out there as possible so people know where they are.
Great. Well, John, as I said, I really appreciate you giving up your time. I know it's busy time for everybody right now, so I appreciate that. I've really enjoyed chatting with you this afternoon. Thank you for sharing, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, John.